accession ceremony now, which is currently underway in London.
Kingdom, to be made use of until new seals be prepared and their use duly authorised.
Approved.
Draft of an order in Council confirming Your Majesty's wishes in relation to the Sovereign Grant Act 2011 to continue the tradition of surrendering the hereditary revenues, including the Crown Estate, to your government for the benefit of all, in return for the sovereign grant which supports your official duties as head of state and head of nation.
Approved.
Drafts of 2 proclamations. 1. Appointing the day of Her late Majesty's state funeral as a bank holiday in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. 2. Appointing the day of Her late Majesty's state funeral as a bank holiday in Scotland. And of 2 orders in Council directing the Lord Chancellor to affix the Great Seal to the proclamations.
Approved.
I now invite Your Majesty to sign both proclamations. And that, Your Majesty, concludes today's business for the Council. May I now invite the deputation party and the witnesses to the oath to exit via the picture gallery and the matted hall. I now ask Privy Councillors present to exit via the picture gallery and the matted hall and invite you to sign the proclamation, which is laid out in the lower corridor. Thank you all for attending today.
So that is, of course, the Accession Council there formally proclaiming Charles III the King in that ceremony that took place at the St. James's Palace in London. He was already, of course, declared king in title, but this was a constitutional formality to recognize, in fact, his sovereignty. Those members that you see exiting St. James's Hall right now in London are members of the Accession Council. It is made up of Privy Councillors, which includes the Prime Minister, the Cabinet members, Shadow Cabinet members, Archbishops of Canterbury and York, as well as representatives of the 4 realms. Remember that King Charles III is now the reigning monarch as far as Great Britain is concerned, and 14 other Commonwealth realms. All the Privy Councillors members have to sign the proclamation. So those are pictures that are coming in right now from St. James's Palace, live pictures that are coming in at the moment. So the accession is now complete. In those pictures earlier you did see, of course, Charles III, who has now been proclaimed King Charles, along with his wife, the Queen Consort Camilla, as well, and his son, Prince William, by his side. The Privy, of course, councillors include former Prime Ministers as well. In those pictures, you can see former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who recently stepped down, and the Tories, the ruling Tories, elected Liz Truss as the Prime Minister, the leader of the Conservative Party. In fact, that was one of the last formal duties that the Queen, the late Queen, had performed. In fact, in handing over formally handing over the reins of the government, the British government, to Liz Truss. Lavina Tandon is now joining me live from near the Balmoral Castle. Lavina, give us a sense of how does this accession ceremony take place, of course?
Accession ceremony takes place in the St. James Palace. You're already seeing the visuals of that. This is the meeting point of the Accession Council. It's an official body that carries out the accession of the Queen and also proclaims it also gives out the news of the death of the Queen. And this really means that now the King, Prince of Wales, or Prince Charles as we have known him, is now the King Charles III of United Kingdom and Northern Ireland. This St. James Palace is no more the residence of the monarch, but this is really where the Accession Council meets and carries out the entire ceremony according to the traditions of which are many of the times and which now continues. Usually this was attended by 700 people almost when it happened with the Queen. At the moment there are a few hundred, of course, and when the Queen found out that she is going to be the Queen of United Kingdom, she was actually on a holiday in Kenya, if I'm right, Africa surely, and she came out and she had no news that her father had passed away, and she was given that news when she was back. Now Prince, I have to get myself used to calling him King Charles III, King Charles III, found out when he was quite immediately, and he traveled to Balmoral, where I am. I'm in Ballata village, just next door to Balmoral, and he has been the longest ever serving apprentice to the Queen. She was very young when she took the throne. He is the oldest person to now be the monarch, but at the same time quite experienced person as well. And now Prince William now should be called Prince of Wales, who is now the next heir. That the declaration of him to be the Prince of Wales, which is a very important title to be given, and to Kate Middleton being the Princess of Wales, means they are the next heir to the throne. He will be working very closely with King Charles III. Important things to note: his lifestyle is going to change, and he has to change his style in the way that he has operated. He used to be very vocal about political issues. Now he can't be, and he's already in the address to the nation made it apparent that that would be the case. Also, he would not need a passport or a driving license, or he would not be allowed to vote. So not only does he lose the freedom to be free on political issues, which was criticized because of him being the royal, but he now loses the right to vote because now he's the constitutional head. So as you were saying, this is the accession ceremony that takes place in St. James Palace, which is not the official residence, but the official place where Accession Council meets.
Also, keeping up with the times, Lavina, I believe that this is the first time that the Accession Council's meeting, the ceremony for the proclamation of the new king, has been filmed and televised for the first time.
Yes, it was the first time, very long time back, when Queen addressed the nation, and she had all the resistance towards the Christmas message being televised. But then that became a norm, a kind of national occurrence every Christmas, in which she united, in fact, the nation. This, of course, is the first time that Accession is being televised. Royalty, or the royal family, has always had a resistance towards making many things very public, or the way their thing is conducted. So coronation ceremony, the actual coronation, is never filmed, even now. So while the lead up to the coronation ceremony is filmed, the coronation itself is not filmed. So there are many such small little things, but as you can see, that it falls upon the shoulders of the king to move on and modernize and evolve the monarchy. Every king has had to do that, and Queen Elizabeth II did that too. And it is always one step ahead. So Accession Council being televised is yet another step ahead to come into the modern era. And how the King Charles III takes it forward is really up to him. That's how he's going to spell out his own legacy. Let me just tell you a few interesting things, because there are always so many interesting things around the royalty, which is now the coins have to change, or the currency would need to change. So the Queen had decided a certain profile. So first of all, the profile has to change. It has to shift from this to this. I think it is this, if I remember right. And now it has to flip to that direction. But how would that happen? And all that has to be also a very important decision. What happens as a result of the currency of the nation? And all that is a very, very big discussion.
Okay, that's a very interesting point that you make, that the currency now needs to change and the profile also needs to change as well. Lavina, thank you so much for bringing us all of those little details. Lavina Tandon there, of course, reporting on the developments that just took place at the St. James's Palace, where Charles III has now been proclaimed the King of the United Kingdom. Charles is Britain's new king. He's the oldest person to assume the throne at 71, and he has his task cut out for him. Here's a report on King Charles's life growing up in the spotlight.
I, Charles, Prince of Wales, do become your liege man of life and limb, and of earthly worship. And faith and truth I will bear unto thee, to live and die against all manner of folks.
Charles Philip Arthur George, a shy, reserved royal, was destined to succeed his mother as the sovereign of UK and 14 other Commonwealth nations since.
In a little over a week's time, we will come together as a nation, as a Commonwealth, and indeed a global community, to lay my beloved mother to rest. In our sorrow, let us remember and draw strength from the light of her example.
73 years later, the Prince of Wales has been christened King Charles III.
As the Queen herself did with such unswerving devotion, I too now solemnly pledge myself, throughout the remaining time God grants me, to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation.
Born in 1948, Charles was there throughout his mother's long reign by her side. Charles is a man of many firsts. The first heir to not be homeschooled. The first to hold a university degree. And the first British king to have married a divorced woman, a point of contention that cost his uncle Edward the throne.
This is also a time of change for my family. I count on the loving help of my darling wife, Camilla. In recognition of her own loyal public service since our marriage 17 years ago, she becomes my Queen Consort. I know she will bring to the demands of her new role the steadfast devotion to duty on which I have come to rely so much.
Charles was also the first royal to grow up under constant media glare as deference to royalty faded.
I pronounce that they be man and wife together, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
His marriage with his first wife, Diana Spencer, and his subsequent divorce was always under the spotlight. Charles has long been a champion of the cause of climate change. The new king has always been outspoken about the cause, even reprimanding those in power over policies. A big no for royals who are required to be politically neutral. Charles, now at the age of 73, stares at a challenging new role. A symbolic statehead, sovereign of the Commonwealth realm, a symbol of stability and continuity in an ever-changing political environment. Bureau Report, India Today.
And that's a wrap on this bulletin. For all the latest news and updates, you can log on to indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app. Thanks for watching.